So, how many of you have come across someone who hears that you're a metalsmith, and specifically that you make jewelry, and you hear, "Oh, great! I wonder if maybe you could fix this piece I found at a thrift store." First thing that goes through my mind is instant panic because I know that the things that you find at a thrift store, 99% of the time, are not that high quality. But I'm here today to try and encourage you to at least take a look at the piece, analyze it, observe it, make some decisions, and see if maybe it is something that you can repair. Because who knows? Maybe that $5 fine turns into one of their favorite pieces that they wear all the time. So let's go to the bench, take a look at this piece that I received, and see if this is something we can fix. Let's take a look at what we've got here. It's a nice little chain. Here's one end. Oh, I see where it's broken. That piece is broken. There's the end. So it looks like here's where our problem is. We've got this area where it looks like the solder has come undone from the chain. So if I stick it in there, it's a little tight, but that's a good thing because what that means is I can actually place a little pallium of solder right there, control my heat, and be able to repair this necklace, and my sister-in-law will be able to wear it. So this was actually a fairly easy fix, although one of the things we need to look for is a marking somewhere that tells us this is actually sterling silver and not a silver plated piece. And there's the hallmark right there. Let's see if we can take a look at it. Oh, I don't think my camera is going to pick it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my optivisor and take a look at that hallmark and see if it says sterling. It looks like it says 925. So let's take a minute and I'll look at it underneath my optivisor and see if this is something I can repair. So the good news is on one side, on this side, you can't read it in the video and I know that, but I'll see if I can take a macro photo so that you can see it. Excuse me, sorry about that. It says made in Italy on this side. And on this side, if I flip it this way, it actually says 925 and something in Italian. So this is definitely a sterling silver piece. So that one area where the chain was broken, we can fix it. I'll have to relocate it again before we go to the soldering board, but I can take this straight to the soldering board and get this repaired for her, and then she'll be able to wear it. So let's go to the soldering board. So I have relocated the area that needs to be fixed. I am going to use a tiny, tiny, tiny piece of easy solder instead of my normal hard solder because this is a very delicate chain. If I use hard solder, I'm going to have so much heat that I could potentially melt this small piece of chain, and I don't want to do that. What I want to do is attach the chain right underneath or right inside this little hole here and then solder around that little hole. So I'm going to clamp this in my third hand. That's going to act as a heat sink to help protect the rest of the chain. I'm going to move the rest of the chain out of the way. I'm going to take this little piece here. I'm going to stick it right inside because it is tight enough to hold the solder. There we go. pull that out just a smidge. I think I might have pushed it in just a little bit too far. So now I'm going to hold this piece away with my other third hand. And I'm going to use my liquid flux and flux this piece really well. And I've already taken a very tiny little piece of solder and placed it right here on my soldering board. So I'm going to grab my torch, and I have a very neutral flame. It actually is a little bit too hot. Get that neutral flame. Turn this light off. I'm going to pick up that solder with my pick. I probably should turn this flame down just a little bit. It's a little bit large. So let's readjust this flame so it's a little smaller. I'm going to heat the larger piece. Oh, and it unsoldered the other piece already. All right, well, see, that's something that you can't anticipate. And actually, it looks like somebody glued it. Goodness, let me turn that light back on. Yeah, it looks like it was glued and not soldered. So that is probably why it came apart. So let me quench this. We'll take another look at it and we'll make some decisions. Now that we've seen kind of a unexpected twist there, it gives us a better idea of how to fix this, if we can fix it. And it might be a situation where we can't fix it with anything other than glue, but you kind of don't know anything about somebody else's work until you start working with it. So let me quench this and we'll go back to the close-up and see what we can do from there. Okay, I've quenched the piece and you saw the little bead fell off. This was the side that I was trying to solder, and you can kind of see that the chain actually fits in there fairly snugly, which is a good thing. But then this is the side that has glue on it. You see this little piece of glue right there? So this piece was never actually soldered to begin with. So that makes me believe that all of the pieces were probably glued into each and every one of these little beads. And that's a little concerning because that means that either one, this necklace was broken once before in this spot and somebody repaired it with glue, or, and that's probably the more likely thing, I don't think that this was initially made with glue. Italian jewelers don't typically use glue, but you just never know. So let's go back and kind of review this whole process, and I will summarize what we've discovered here. So as you saw, that piece is not a very expensive piece, but we did identify that it was a 925 sterling silver piece and that it was made in Italy. So somebody somewhere took the time to handcraft this. Whether or not it was broken at one point or not and was glued back together, we really can't tell. So in this particular case, I think I can repair this, and I probably will try for her. And because it was an inexpensive piece, I'm not too worried about melting it, especially since she caveated the handing over of the piece for inspection by, hey, if you can't fix it, that's fine. If it gets ruined while you're trying to fix it, that's okay. But I just want you to feel like this is not necessarily something you can completely avoid. Yes, there will be some situations where you take a look at it and be like, nope, I'm not even going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But in this particular case, we have a quality piece. It may or may not have been broken once before and fixed with glue, but we know that we can solder this back together and probably repair it for her. So take this as a learning example of how you can take a look at a piece and maybe analyze it and see whether or not you can fix it. because one thing I will say, as a metalsmith, I was very, very nervous about fixing or repairing anybody's jewelry for a very long time. But as I've gotten more confidence and learned to trust my skills and my intuition, it's become more and more joyful. I don't know about joyful. Let's say more and more satisfying when I can actually repair a piece like this and somebody can wear it and they get a lot of joy from it. So that's this week's eye-opening moment. Hopefully this will be helpful for you. I hope to see you in next week's video. And until then, have a great week. Bye.